So for him, he said, he said something that is very interesting that happened also already before. So I was talking to Jones the other day, and he said, so when you listen to Bach, you listen to Mozart, you listen to those pieces from the classical period, and the tunes are very easy to catch. And why are they so easy to catch? What is going on? And I said to him, the problem is that the people went to hear that symphony once in their life, and by the way, you would never hear it ever again in your life. It's like when you go to the movies, you go to the movies today, and unless it's a classical, but only that has happened only in the 1800s that people started playing music from before. It was never done in Europe. It was never done. So people played the music in and that season. So that symphony was played in that period, those months, whenever it was composed for. But the next year there was a new. Every time there was a new. Bach composed for the Sunday Mass or whatever. Every time a new music. And sure, sometimes the melodies would repeat themselves. It was okay. But it was every time new, and it wasn't. They never performed music. It was this. That's what I learned, that it was Mendelssohn, the 1800 composer, who brought the first time Beethoven's music on the stage again, and Bach's music, and so on. Actually, he performed Bach's music. It was never in Mozart's time. They never performed Bach. They were studying. Composers were studying Bach's music, but as a composer on your house. But people did not listen to it. And then it started with the symphonies of Mozart. And so what happens with Mozart? Then they started, the new bourgeois created this type of piano, because otherwise that was the piano, and that's very expensive, and then you needed a big place to have that. So not everybody had a big place enough to have. So this was created in the 1800s, and this was the cassette player or the CD player of the period. So if you think today you have a radio or a CD player or cassette player at home, those people who had this instead, because then they would have the symphonies that were composed by Mozart and Beethoven as a transcription for four hands on the piano. So you would have either two people in the house. Sometimes it was the young people in the family that would learn how to play a little bit of piano, so that they could entertain the people in their house with simple music, and very often the hits that were of the period, transcriptions for four hands, because so if it's orchestral, it's easier with 20 fingers than with 10 fingers, because you're playing orchestral music. So there's so many instruments, so it's much easier to fit 20 fingers to play. And they would do all the symphonies are there in easy transcriptions to play, and famous pieces that and that's how it was. That's the entertainment at home, so that they could hear it again. Otherwise you wouldn't hear it again in the concert hall. So now what happens is that later on, when in the 1800s pieces started to be played again, then they said, but now we can get more complex, because you're going to hear it again and again. So let's make music that gets played. It gets played not this year only, but next year as well, and next year still. So pieces got, the themes didn't need to be those so catchy that you had to catch it at the first time you went to the symphony. And then you go out of here and you're singing it. By the time you finish that by the time that the opening of that piece, that already repeats it 4 times, right? Already it's like tararan 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 tam tararan 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 tararan. That's why parallel phrases. Parallel phrases comes from that period that says, let's repeat it again so that you catch it. And then what? Repeats the whole thing again. And then another part. And then comes the theme again. And it's so catchy. The theme is so catchy. You just know it. When you go and you hear it the first time, you say, oh, so it's coming back now. Oh, and look what he's doing with it. Oh, and then he's going here. Oh, now it's in the violins. Oh, now it's the clarinet that plays. Oh, now it's the tuba, whatever. It's like you really enjoy it because you can follow. It's like a story in the movie. You will really enjoy. In the Romantic period, as people were already playing the music from the previous period, so they said, oh, now music has become something that people are going to play again, so it can get a little more complex. Why not? When Schoenberg appeared, he said, my God, it's gone so far out in all using all the keys, and it was so complex with Wagner and all this chromaticism and Mahler. It was so complex. He said, but now we don't need, the recordings appeared. Now we have recordings. He said, so let's take out everything that is unnecessary, that repeats itself. So you have that. That is a way of having something where it's just the essence of tararan tara. Imagine it's tararan tararan tararan. It's just ta ta ta. Finished. And now that's that whole 2 minutes of music. It's ta ta ta. So the whole symphony comes down to what? Something that's 25 minutes long comes down to just 3 minutes long or 5 minutes long, which is what happened with the very concise style. So it's very interesting. The evolution has a meaning because of also the technological things that happen. So what happens here that now people say, yeah, but if I listen to it once, I don't like it. Oh, what about listening to it? There was our history teacher, he made us listen to a short piece like that 15 times in the class. And I showed you after the 15th time, and it was a piece for clarinet, it was a piece for orchestra by Webern, and it was very short, but it was really, I tell you, that it's like a kaleidoscope, you have then pum 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 plom blam blam blam, all the noise make together, and then at the end only one thing, one flute holding a note. And it's like, okay, what's going on? So let's look at it again. But that's it. It was like, okay, it's like sounds. You shouldn't be going for melody. What's the tune? There's no tune. It's just sounds that appear and that disappear, that create colors. It's like taking a paintbrush, it's the typical thing. Am I going to draw a face or a tree or a sunrise or a sunset? Or am I just taking the brush and just make a circle that's red, and then I take a blue line and do like that, and then I make a wiggly line that's golden or something, and then I put some hazy thing in the background. And that's the type of music. It's not, you can't say that's a picture because you don't know, is it a sunrise, a sunset? There's a circle, but you don't know what it is. It could be the wheel of a cycle, right?